You are on the record, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. So I'm going to call this work session to order on AO 2020-75, online posting of APD policies and procedures. Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Rivera.
Present.
Ms. Quinn-Davidson.
Here.
Ms. Allard.
Here.
Mr. Constant. Mr. Dunbar.
Here.
Ms. Kennedy. I believe she's excused. Ms. LaFrance.
Here.
Mr. Perez-Verdia. Mr. Peterson.
Present.
Mr. Weddleton.
Here.
Ms. Salatel.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So as usual, if you'd like to get in the queue, please put yourself in the chat or text me. So the sponsors of the ordinance before us asked for this work session mainly for discussion. I'm going to turn it over, though, to Ms. Zalatel and then possibly Mr. Dunbar if they'd like to speak about the ordinance briefly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this ordinance that Mr. Dunbar and I have worked with cooperatively with the administration came about in response to public's inquiries and frustrations about being able to access the APD's policies and procedures. We had a really productive conversation with APD as well as the administration about getting these policies and procedures online and ensuring that they go online, and honestly putting a deadline on when they would be put online, and then they would subsequent updates that those would also be put online. We don't have anyone, I don't think, from the police department. We do have Bill Falsey with us, though, about the need to do some operational redaction from time to time. And if there are questions about that, I'm sure we can talk about that. And with that, that's just a little bit of the background. Turn it over to Forrest.
Thank you, Ms. Zalatel. So, yeah, echo what she just said. I think we asked for this, or at least in my mind, we asked for this work session as kind of a midway point between when it was introduced and when we hope it will pass, in case any sort of issues had arisen. Mr. Falsey just put in the chat a link to where the police department has already started to post their policies. And when we originally had started this conversation, there was a question about the sort of IT back end of this. And the chief expressed to us that it turned out that they had capabilities they didn't realize, or rather that the IT wasn't quite as challenging as they thought it might be. We had originally talked about a deadline being the end of the year, but we moved that forward to September 1st, and the administration said they could accomplish that. And I could perhaps let Mr. Falsey speak to it more, but the chief expressed to us that, it seems like it would be very easy just to take all of the policies and procedures that we just assume they have like in a PDF and put them online. But it takes more than that. They have to sort of find all the policies and procedures, they have to redact certain ones, and they have to place it in a system that's hopefully can be easily updated, because we want this to be a living document so that when a policy or procedure is changed, there is that transparency. I will say that in the last week, I have had two people sort of reach out to me, not very formally, about what they'd like to see from this ordinance. Maybe they want to see it go further, and we can have that conversation now, or perhaps we could have it on next Tuesday night, or in 2 Tuesdays. One request was that, so this ordinance is structured in such a way where it's based on an existing state statute, and what needs to be legally presented. And this person wanted to know if we could go further than that. And I guess I would want Mr. Falsey to speak to that are there things beyond what the statute requires that we could post, because they are worried that too many things we will claim, the APD will claim a exemption, or I'm blanking on the appropriate word, but that it's basically protected by that statute, and so they will claim a privilege that is too broad and thus deny some transparency to the public. I had another request that data, particularly racial data related to arrests, be included in this. And my initial sort of impression was that was probably more suited for a different ordinance, because this is more about policies and procedures. But I would like to hear Mr. Falsey speak to that as well, if he could, only because I don't believe the chief is here.
Mr. Falsey?
I'm happy to take an attempt at that, Mr. Chair. So through the chair to Assemblymember Dunbar, you're right. So we had previously, once upon a time, had all of the Anchorage Police Department policies posted online, and then they came down in large measure because there wasn't a good way to keep them current. So there was one gigantic PDF, as I understand it, and these policies are dynamic and change in real time and with some regularity. And so there was a question about whether we have the manpower or the person power to actually keep them online and current. The good news was that we went to the software vendor that is maintaining the back end for us. It turned out to be very simple to port them online. So I have put in the chat the publicly facing website, the Anchorage Police Department Policies and Procedures website, which now has a link to this Power DMS tree, where you can start to see where the policies are populating. If any of them change, they'll change on the back end and then immediately port over to the public as well. My understanding is September is eminently achievable. I'm hopeful that we might be able to do way better than September. So we should be all squared away there. I think on the question of whether the police department might want to redact more than we would desire, I think it's a hard question to answer in the abstract. In the main, the things that the police department is interested in not publishing are real nitty-gritty rules of engagement about, for instance, when they might not pursue a person who has caused a SWAT incident, whatnot. And I am told that there are times when they have actually found that people who are committing crimes know the policy, and after the police department published that we were not going to do hot pursuits or vehicle interceptions in certain ways, people would engage in those kind of behaviors knowing that the police were not going to follow. But I think that they are relatively few and far between, and my suggestion would be let's publish them all, let's get to before September, and then take a look at what might be missing, or see if there is anything that people are still interested in, and then we can kind of engage on case-by-case basis there. On the second question about racial data for arrests, I just don't have any idea of whether that data is easily accessible or exists at all. But I was certainly to take that inquiry. That was a new one to me that I didn't know about for today.
Yeah, I'll just note, Mr. Chair, that I got that request today as well. I'm not trying to spring that on you, Mr. Falsey.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Ms. Zalatel, Mr. Dunbar, Mr. Falsey. Any questions from the members?
Weddleton?
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Weddleton.
Yeah, it's just, I guess grappling for where some weak things might be here. I don't know if it's true, but, what if, an officer follows a policy and it makes an arrest or whatever, but then it's not posted. So could it be challenged like, hey, he couldn't arrest me for that, it's not posted? Or is there any possibility of that? I mean, these are policies, not laws. Anyway, someone.
Mr. Chair, I guess this is me and our new puppy responding. That's the squeaking sound you're hearing in the background. The current policies and procedures are somewhat in the nature of employment rules so that we can do employee discipline when people are not following the policies. They don't really affect the external world in the way that you might imagine, because we are arresting people for violations of the criminal code. So if it's in Title 8, I'm arresting you because you did a misdemeanor, or because you broke a felony statute for the state. If we were to pass a policy that said I'm allowed to arrest you for something that has nothing to do with a violation of law, I don't think we could do that. So I think this is more about showing how we have instructed all of the police department employees to how to behave and how we want the law enforced when we are out there enforcing the actual criminal code, to the extent that's helpful.
Yeah, that is actually very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions from the members? All right, not hearing any. Ms. Alto, Mr. Dunbar, do you have any final statements?
No, maybe we could all take a quick break before our long meeting tonight.
Yeah, nothing for me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. Then this item will be back before us on July 28th. And with that, that's the end of the work session. See everyone at 6 p.m.
Hey, Max, you want me to move my car? You want me to move my car? You can park there? Let me down in a moment. You know, there's people in Northern California who burn redwood stumps out of the ground. They just started with diesel fuel just all year long. That's the job. They just have a lot of clients who burn stumps.
Well, those there though, the roots go down so deep. Here, you know, they go down to where it freezes. You know,